All right, so far we've kind of looked at graphs or equations and gotten some information from them. Now, what if we need to have an equation and graph ourselves the sine or cosine function? All right, so here's some steps. I find these a little bit hard to follow, so we're going to do a bunch of examples. But and this is kind of just if you have a sine b of x or cosine without a horizontal shift. Okay, so you're going to first find the amplitude, which is just a. Then you're going to find the period. Remember, it's 2 pi divided by this b value. And then, well, maybe this will be easier to just kind of talk through as we go through some examples. All these equations make it more complicated than I think it needs to be. So let's do these examples. All right. What if we have this equation? F of x equals minus 2 times sine of pi x over 2. All right, well, let's take a look. Our amplitude is 2, right? This number out here. Sine of pi x over 2. So other things we need to pay attention to. We have this minus sign out front, right? So that's going to be a vertical reflection. And we have this pi over 2 times x. So we have to figure out what the period is going to be. The period is going to be 2 pi divided by pi halves, right? Whatever the coefficient of x is. So let's see, the pi's are going to cancel. If we invert and multiply this denominator, we're going to get that the period is 4. Okay, the pi goes away completely. Okay, so we have a period, our amplitude, there's no horizontal shift, and we have this minus sign. So let's think how this is going to look. Let's see, so our period is 4. So maybe we'll draw 2 periods. We'll say this is 4 and this is 8, right? Sorry, that looks like a mess now. There we go, now it looks like 8, okay? So let's see, halfway through is going to be 2 and 6, and then 1 and 3, 5 and 7. Okay, our amplitude is 2. There's no vertical shift, right? There's no plus or minus anything here at the end. So we're going to go up to 2 and down to minus 2, right? And let's see, so normally sine goes up and down and then down, right? But this minus sign is going to reflect it. So let's just say we're going to start here and we're going to end here. There's one period from 0 to 4, right? And halfway through, we're also going to cross the x-axis. So normally we go up and then down and return, right? That would be a sine curve. But we have this reflection. So instead, we're going to go down first and then up. We'll go down to -2 and up to 2 and back to 4. And the second period will look just the same. It will go down, up, and then return at 8. Okay, so we find the amplitude, we find the period, we see if there's any horizontal shifts, we look at reflections, right? And then once we have all that information, we mark the beginning and end of our period, we mark the halfway point, and then we mark a few points, right? So we mark those 3 points for sure, and then maybe the points halfway between. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points kind of make our sine curve or our cosine curve. Okay. All right, let's do another one. F of x equals 3 times sine of pi over 4x minus pi fourths. Okay, so here we have, so this is our A, B, C, and D. So we have no D, so there's no vertical shift. We could right away say our amplitude is 3. Our B is pi fourths and our C is negative pi fourths. Okay, but I'm going to rewrite this in this way. I think this is much easier to figure out. I'm going to factor this coefficient, this pi fourths, out of both of these terms, like that. Okay, so really I'm going to think of this as my B and this as my C. So B, this is going to tell me my period, and this is going to tell me my phase shift or my horizontal shift. Okay, So let's see, we know our amplitude. Our period is going to be 2 pi divided by pi fourths. Oh, that's the same as last time, right? The pi's cancel, we multiply, we get 8. Our period is 8. Oh, it's not the same. Last time it was 4. Our period is 8, and our phase shift, or our horizontal shift, is going to be 1 to the right. There's no vertical shift. There's no reflection. Okay, so let's see if we can put all this together. So our amplitude is 3. We're going to go up to 3 and down to -3 since we don't have any vertical shifts here. We're shifting 1 to the right. So our period is going to start here at 1. And our period is 8. So it's going to end over here at 9. Right? And halfway between is going to be 5. And halfway between that's 3, and here's 7. If I wanted to do 2 periods, let's see, this is going to go all the way to 17. Right? 8 plus 9 is 17, and our period is 8. And halfway through, this is going to be 13, and 11, and 15. And this is the sine curve. So halfway through, we're going to go up, and then halfway through we'll be back at the x-axis. And halfway between those points, we're going to be up here at the top. And halfway between will be down here at the bottom of our curve. So we'll go up and down and up and down and up. Okay, so again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points kind of defining our curve and the way we're going to graph it. All right, let's do another one. Here we've got a cosine. Okay, we've got an amplitude here of 2. There's going to be a reflection. We've got our B and C values, no D again. So we aren't practicing one with a vertical shift. But if that happened, the midline would just go up or down, and our amplitude would go from there. Okay, so our amplitude is 2. We have a vertical reflection. I'm going to rewrite this again so I can easily see what the phase shift and the period are going to be. So I'm going to factor out a pi thirds, which is my coefficient of x. So if I factor out a pi thirds, what does this become? I get a plus 1/2, right? Is that correct? Pi thirds plus pi sixths. Yes. All right. So my B value is pi thirds. My C value is going to be 1/2 to the left. So phase shift of 1/2 to the left, or yes, to the left. And my period is 2 pi divided by pi thirds. So let's see, the pi's cancel. I multiply, I get a 6. Okay. So let's put all this together. We're going to go from -2 to 2. Our phase shift is 1/2 to the left. So here's -1/2. That's where our period is going to begin. And our period is 6. So it's kind of a pain. That's a fraction, but that's how it goes. All right, so where's our period going to end? It's going to end at 5.5. So I could do that as 11 halves. Whoops, not pi. 11 halves. Right? Is that correct? Yep, that's 6. Okay, so halfway between that is 5 halves. And then halfway between here is going to be 8 halves, I think. Yep. And then halfway between this is going to be 2 halves or 1. Let's just do 1 period here. I'm kind of lazy. Okay, let's not. Let's be good here. All right, if we add 12 halves to this, it's going to be 23 halves. All right, that's going to be 6 plus 11 halves will give us 23 halves. Okay, lots of fractions. So this will be 17 halves. Okay, let's just leave it there. All right, so we're going to start. So this is cosine. right? Before we had sine, this is cosine. So we're going to go from here to here. This is one period. Normally, cosine goes up, starts up, goes down, and then ends up, right? But we've got this reflection, so we're actually going to start down here at -2. Halfway between, we're going to be up at 2, and at the end, we're going to be back down here at -2. And halfway between those points is when we're going to cross the x-axis. So it's going to look like this. And then halfway between will be up here, and we'll end down here, like that. Okay, so again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points to trace out this cosine curve. And then we just kind of connect those points, the beginning, the end, halfway through, and then halfway between those 2 points. Okay, those are our key points for graphing a cosine curve or a sine. So on a test, these are the kinds of things I want to see. Okay, I want to see your amplitudes. I want to see these values. Okay, and I mean, if we had phase shifts or if we had a vertical shift, I'd want to see that too. Okay, and okay, I'm feeling bad that I didn't mark these. Let's figure out what these are. Halfway between these is 14 halves and 20 halves. Okay, I'd like you to mark those too. All right, so that's how you graph things. You analyze the equation to figure out this different data information. I suggest writing it down so that you don't have to keep refiguring it out. All right, just writing it down. Then you make your axes, you mark your beginning and ends of your periods, halfway between those, and then you mark your 5 points. All right.